Donald Trump's pick to head, and this is a laugh, the Office of Special Counsel, which is supposed to be a bipartisan lawyer, is a lawyer for 1 year who's a political hack of Donald Trump named Paul Ingracia, no gracia, who has spent basically his entire time being a political hack and sycophant for Donald Trump. But on top of that, you are judged, Mr. Ingracia, by the people and the company that you keep. And the company that you keep, based on your social media posts, are election deniers, Holocaust deniers, 9/11 deniers, white nationalists like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, because those are the people that you decided that you wanted to side with and defend in social media posts. It is a joke. Donald Trump took 3 federal agencies that were designed to protect federal workers and workers in general and has completely destroyed them. One, the National Labor Relations Board, the other, the Merit Service Protection Board, the third, the Office of Special Counsel. And that title, it's not what you think. He's not a prosecutor. Whoever occupies that position is supposed to be bipartisan, is supposed to be a lawyer of some repute. And they're the ones that others in the federal government are supposed to look up to as a ombudsperson to bring their confidential whistleblower allegations and not be retaliated against. Does anybody think that Paul Ingracia is not going to retaliate? His very demeanor, his very DNA suggests that he's going to weaponize the Office of Special Counsel. That's exactly what Donald Trump wants. And when you hear his body of work, so to speak, you'll understand what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish. I'm Michael Popok. I know what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to speak to you while I'm traveling on a legal AF hot take about Paul Ingracia. This position that he's taking is very near and dear to my heart because a friend of mine, somebody that I played basketball with in law school, whose father was my constitutional law professor at Duke, Hampton Dellinger, the son of Walter Dellinger, who was the Solicitor General of the United States, who was shortlisted for the United States Supreme Court. Hampton Dellinger, who has a body of academic and legal work that no one can rival. He was your Office of Special Counsel head. He had been appointed to a 5-year term by Joe Biden. He made it about 2 years. And then Donald Trump fired the quorum-making members of the National Labor Relations Board, also Biden picks and others, and fired the head of the Merit Service Protection Board, leaving the Merit Service Protection Board and the National Labor Relations Board to protect workers without a sufficient quorum. Donald Trump has not filled those positions, and they cannot operate. There was litigation over it. Judges at the DC Circuit Court level, the appellate court for DC, all the judges that looked at it said, Donald Trump can't do that. That's a federal agency. He can't defund them. He can't fire them without cause. Supreme Court sided with Donald Trump, among many things that they sided with him over the course of this last term, allowing the Merit Service Protection Board and the NLRB, National Labor Relations Board heads to be fired, which has basically trapped them in amber. They can't do any work at all. That left the Office of Special Counsel. Hampton Dellinger saw the writing on the wall, withdrew his appeal, and therefore Donald Trump got to fire that position too and now try to fill it. And the one position that Trump is trying to fill now is this one of the Office of Special Counsel. Again, this is where it's like a hotline. You're supposed to be able to make a phone call or write an email or a letter or a whistleblower complaint about something in the federal agencies, and this Office of Special Counsel is supposed to investigate it. There's a process within that. It has to be led by a bipartisan lawyer. Paul Ingracia has been a lawyer for 1 year. 1 year. But what he's done what he's done with most of his time is social media posts to get the attention of Donald Trump. His biggest claim to fame, according to CNN, is that Paul Ingracia tells people, or is self-branded as the most reposted, retweeted, re-X'd social media commentator by Donald Trump that's out there. That's his claim to fame. He was a bootlicker. He's so bad that he got forced out of his original job in this Trump White House, which was to be the liaison between the Trump administration and the Department of Justice, because he lost a turf battle with Chad Mizell, who's Pam Bondi of the Department of Justice right-hand person or chief of staff. And Chad Mizell won. Paul Ingrassia took an office at the Department of Justice reserved for senior staff. He went to Donald Trump personally and said Chad Mizell had to go, but he sided ultimately Trump with Bondi, kept Chad Mizell, transferred Paul Ingrassia to now be the liaison to the Department of Homeland Security with Kristi Noem. But now they're going to give him this new position. Who does he hang out with? Okay, well, let's start with Nick Fuentes, who was also at Mar-a-Lago. He's a white nationalist. Self-proclaimed. He thinks straight white people should be given all the benefits in society, all of the training, and everything else. Nick Fuentes is also anti-Semitic. He's also a Holocaust denier. And this is who listen, you're going to be friends with these people. You're going to repost their social media posts. You own it, Paul Ingrassia. Then you own all of his. For the Trump administration to say, he's got a number of groups, Jewish groups, to support him. Isn't it like that old racist line? I can't be racist. I've got a black friend. It's the same thing. And then when CNN reached out and said, who are these Jewish groups? They pointed to these ultra right-wing, extreme, Zionist groups to say, well, okay, we support him. But like mainstream Jewish groups don't support the guy. I mean, he actually retweeted something that Alex Jones wrote that denied that, basically denying 9/11, saying that it was Alex Jones said it was either that it was planned by the U.S. government or it was allowed to happen by the U.S. government. And Paul Ingrassia wrote, well, we'll always defend Alex Jones. How does that make the Commerce Secretary for Donald Trump, Howard Lutnick, feel, who lost 658 people on 9/11, including his own brother, when the plane hit the tower that they operated in? How does that make you feel, Mr. Lutnick, that you are now rubbing elbows with Paul Ingrassia, who's going to be in a Senate confirmed position, maybe, unless we have something to do about it, at this very important ombudsperson office? That doesn't bother you? That doesn't concern you? That doesn't keep you up at night? It should. Let's go back to Paul Ingrassia. This is a Senate confirmed position. So we have an opportunity at the town. There's going to be a recess soon. Yeah, they could try to recess appoint him, but he's ultimately going to have to get confirmed. I mean, Donald Trump's going to be using and watching that. Keep an eye on that recess appointment power of a president while the Senate is in recess, which will be coming up soon, a little bit of summer break. He's going to shove down everybody's throat and appoint them for until the next year. A number of these people. I think Alina Habba gets shoved through with a recess appointment. I think this guy gets shoved through with a recess appointment. I mean, eventually he's going to have to stand in front of a full Senate. Now, maybe it's at the midterms when we've, as Democrats, have been able to obtain and recapture the House and the Senate. But this is what's going to happen. So for Donald Trump to sit here and say, I'm going to replace what was Hampton Dellinger, Walter Dellinger's son, one of the most acclaimed lawyers in America, and aggressively independent and bipartisan, with Paul Ingrassia, while you simultaneously don't fill the positions for the National Labor Relations Board and the Merit Service Protection Board to not allow them to do their jobs, because without a quorum they can't do their jobs, is a laugh. And we'll continue to call it out right here on Legal AF while I've got you. This very important time. We're coming off of a 4th of July where some Americans were happy and many Americans are in fear. And those around them are in fear. But we're not a channel of fear. We're a channel of fellowship. We're a channel where we vibrate on the same frequency. We're a channel where we bring you the content and the information, speaking truth to each other so that you can take the next steps, including running the bastards out on a rail when it comes to Election Day, helping with voter registration, working at the state level because the states are leading us at this point, and the rest. So take a moment, hit the free subscribe button here on Legal AF and our Legal AF Substack as well. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.